Story time about how my boyfriend tried to cheat on me with my fake Instagram account, not knowing it was really me. Disclaimer, is not my story time, was sent to me on Instagram. The funny thing is that when my boyfriend and I got together, I did not want the relationship. He begged me for 6 months to be his girlfriend. And you see, the only reason why I didn't want to was because I knew that he was a player. Every single one of my friends had basically gone out with him. I was just the last girl in the group to go out with him because I always kept saying no. And looking back, he was definitely obsessed with me because I never gave in to him. I was the girl that he couldn't have. During those 6 months, he would hit me up on Instagram every single day. Anytime I posted a story, he would automatically reply to it. He would like and comment on all of my pictures. We also had a lot of mutual friends, so we would end up at the same events and parties. And every time that he would see me in public, he would zero in on me. He would basically ignore all the other girls at the party and make me feel like I was the only one there. And he would constantly compliment me and tell me how beautiful I was, how attracted to me he was, how I was just so different from all the other girls that he had gone out with. Trust me, I knew that he was love bombing me, but eventually after 6 months, I was like, he's gotta be honest. So I decided to give him a chance. And let me tell you, he has been the perfect boyfriend. He's so sweet and considerate. My parents absolutely adore him, and my mom never likes anybody. See, I come from a Latino family. One day I decided to make a second Instagram account. It was just an inspiration account. I posted cute outfits of other people I liked, makeup, nails. Till one day I see my boyfriend in my DMs. Part 2 is up. Story time part 2 of how my boyfriend tried to cheat on me with my fake Instagram and not knowing it was actually me. Disclaimers, not my story time, was sent to me on Instagram. That's when I opened up my account to see that my boyfriend had DM'd me. First I thought he was joking. When I clicked into the message and I read it, my heart and my stomach sank. He was taking a shot. He thought that I was some sort of influencer. Now when I created the second account, I was already with him. But I really didn't tell him that I was creating it. It was just for fun for myself. I did start gaining followers. I did put in a lot of work into this account, but it was pretty much a visual diary just for me. It just so happens that other girls liked the aesthetic and I started gaining a lot of followers. I had about 10,000. But here's my theory. Since my account is probably listed to be in the area that he is, probably popped up on one of his mutual lists or his explore page or something like that, because I was trying to figure out how he found the account. The message read, "Hey beautiful, I really love your pictures and love your style. I'm also really into fashion. Lol, no he's not. And I would love to take you out on a date. I know all the good spots around the city. Let me know if you're down." So when I clicked on my boyfriend's profile and realized that he had hidden all of the pictures we had together. So if he had DM'd any girl and she went to look at his profile, she would automatically assume that he's single because he doesn't have a picture of another girl. Instead of freaking out and calling him, I decided to keep cool. Instead, I called my mom. She told me to play along with the conversation. So that's what I did. Messaged him back and said, "Wow, I really love your pictures and your style too. What's your favorite designer?" He replied, "Louis Vuitton." Ew. By the end of the conversation, we had a date for that night. And I showed up. Part 3 is up. Part 2, story time about how my boyfriend tried to cheat on me with my fake Instagram account, not knowing it was me. Disclaimer, is not my story time, was sent to me on Instagram. At the end of the conversation he thought he was having with some other girl, we had decided to go on a date. And like I said, I was playing along, so I was super nice to him. I complimented all the clothes that he wore. I told him that he looked so attractive in his pictures and that I was really looking forward to meeting him. Chose a restaurant downtown. And of course he did, because I live nowhere near that area. In fact, he and I never go out on dates there. So he knew that he wouldn't see anybody he knew. Here's where it gets actually really funny. This man sent a picture of the outfit he wanted to wear. A brown fedora with the Louis Vuitton monogram on it, a Louis Vuitton belt, black pants, and a black shirt. So I replied saying, "That's perfect. I'll wear a black dress and my favorite Louis Vuitton purse." But I was still heartbroken. Here's what I did. I asked my mom to come with me to the restaurant. Her and I did our makeup, our hair, and we got dressed up really, really nice. And I decided to wear a black dress. My mom actually happened to have an old Louis Vuitton purse in her closet that she never wore, so I grabbed it. My mom and I show up to the restaurant and my boyfriend is already there. So I decided to walk in and turn around, so that way he could only see my back. My mom decided to stay outside of the restaurant, but she knew to come in as soon as he saw me. I suddenly feel a tap on my shoulder and that's when I turn around. He says, "Oh hey babe, what are you doing here?" The look on this man's face was of pure fear. That's when I hand him my phone so that he could see that the account that he was messaging was actually mine. That's when he says, "You lied to me?" He was mad at me for pretending to be somebody else. Then he started apologizing, and then he said that he knew the whole time and that he was just joking around. I broke up with him and haven't spoken to him since.
Am I wrong for not paying for my daughter's prom outfit? I, 36 female, have 4 beautiful kids, 2 daughters, 17 and 2, and 2 sons, 20 and 14. Growing up, I didn't have any fun birthday parties and I didn't get to go to prom or any of that since I was pregnant at a young age. I was very happy to see my 20-year-old go to prom and give my kids parties. My 17-year-old has prom this year. Last year, because of my baby girl, I couldn't give her a sweet 16. She didn't want one, but I did push it until she started doing more planning and we sadly had to cancel before it could happen since we just couldn't afford it. She said she was fine with it and that was all. Here's our issue. Her prom is at the end of the month. Also, this month is my baby's birthday. Her cake costs around $200. She has 3 outfits getting handmade, personal planner and decorations, etc. So with this going on, we can't pay for my daughter's prom dress and all that. My son had a job, so he paid for his own. My daughter has yet to get a job because her therapist claims she can't handle one due to her mental conditions. Yesterday she came to me and said since it was spring break, we should go start looking for prom dresses since we've been putting it off. I told her that I thought she knew we wouldn't be able to get her prom stuff, and she'd have to do that herself by getting a job. She asked me how I expected her to get a job and the money for her stuff, and told her that that was her problem and she was almost a graduate and needed to figure that out herself. Out of nowhere, she burst into tears and started telling me I promised her I'd do this for her. I had, but that was a year ago. And threw the sweet 16 thing in my face and told me she had cried over it for months. Which I don't think is my fault since she didn't even want it in the first place. She's refusing to talk to me and said she won't go to her sister's party, just do something with her privately with her brothers involved because it hurts too much. And that she will ask her father to help her with prom. Which hurt me since she's been open about how she likes her dad more than me. It feels like she's only doing it to rub it in my face. I thought my daughter would understand, but she's taking it very personal. But I do understand her for saying I would do it and not clarifying later on that I wouldn't.
I think I'm gonna make this a series about all of the traumatic things that happened to me growing up in a Pentecostal church. Kind of want to start off light with my baptism because that church had a huge built-in bathtub on the altar. And it was funny because it's kind of deep. So if you were like short, you might or might not come back up. I was 13 when I decided to become holier and get baptized. No 13-year-old, no kid should be getting baptized. They don't even know what sin means. Baptism's supposed to represent when you die to your old self. What was I dying to? The times I stole my sister's toys? It was time for me to get baptized. It's not a baptism if the whole church doesn't hear you right. So what they did was put the stand of the microphone inside the bathtub. And they duct taped the mic on top of the stand hanging above the water. I'm not an engineer, but I know mics have electricity. One wrong move, bro, we dead. I wasn't only gonna die to my old self, but also to my new self. So as I'm getting ready to get baptized, this moment was really holy because I was asking for forgiveness just in case that mic fell in there. At least I was gonna go to heaven. Boom, I go in. I come back up, and the first thing I hear, soy bautizado con tu sangre salvador, brought me back to the reality that I was still alive. Never have I been so excited to hear people singing out of tune.
I'm 28 and the sole breadwinner in our house, and my wife, 32, of 2 years as a stay-at-home cat parent, and we're struggling. She's had plantar fasciitis and PCOS since she was young, but nowhere near as bad as recent years. Today, she can barely stand for an hour before feeling extreme pain. We've tried every remedy to no avail, and no surgery can help. It's made it basically impossible for her to do traditional paid work on top of not having her license or degree. Manual and retail are right out, and the few places that did hire her and try to accommodate her quickly replaced her, leading her to decide on being purely stay-at-home. I also make too much for her household income for her to qualify for disability. I work full-time, but it's still not enough with our expenses. I usually go out door dashing to make up the difference, and that's if it's not preceded by a squabble over how much or how little time I spend with her and how tired I am. I'm often left too tired to do any cleaning around the house, which, with 5 cats regularly climbing on everything and making a mess, is often difficult. She put me in charge of finances due to stress, and I'm overwhelmed trying to make sure that we have enough in the account. She frequently buys things for the house that we don't particularly need and insists on dining out when we already have plenty of stuff to cook, and tends to order out every other day. I've lost so many uncooked chicken breasts to this, which eats away at our savings. Meanwhile, I deliberately go out of my way to avoid spending anything on myself. Despite her telling me to eat, I skip lunch every other day just to save $1. I consistently tell her not to buy me gifts or throw parties on occasions like my birthday, which I imagine makes me look like a stick in the mud. I even opted out of my workplace's group health insurance just because it would have taken out too much of my check. I'm starting to wonder if this is even sustainable anymore. I honestly don't know what the best course of action here would be. Any input is welcome.